I'm Janelle Stelton-Holtmeyer, Associate Editor of Modern Distribution Management, and today I'm joined by Scott Tibbetts, founder and former CEO of Starsys, a company that developed and manufactured highly engineered parts for use by NASA. Since selling Starsys, he has traveled the country speaking to business groups about entrepreneurship and company culture, and as any good entrepreneur knows, he keeps getting his hands into new projects along the way as well. Thank you for joining me, Scott.
Oh, pleasure. Thanks. I appreciate the opportunity.
So this morning we're going to be talking about the next generation of workers and how to recruit and retain a challenge that's going on a lot in distribution and manufacturing today. So what are some of the most significant cross-generational issues you've seen related to this next generation of workers?
Well, the whole issue of this that you're bringing up here came as kind of a surprise to us when we started the company. But we realized we needed these folks that were coming out of school and were, a couple generations behind me or one generation behind me. And one of the things that stood out is, at first, how much these folks are beyond where we were in terms of maturity. These are the kind of people at times that we would run into that we could think, my gosh, someday we're going to be working for these people. The level of talent was just astonishing, very different than what you hear sometimes, which is, the kids these days. But the other thing was that just a total different relationship to authority and traditional structure in a company. So no interest in seniority, very little interest in just looking at pay, kind of a mercenary approach to jobs. They realized they're going to be changing jobs frequently. And so that we weren't going to be able to keep these people or find the great ones from saying, okay, you're here, you'll be here for the next 20 years, we'll pay you this and you'll be on this pay scale. We needed to engender this loyalty that went beyond and got beyond this kind of mercenary approach to jobs. And that's what the challenge was creating these loyalties. And we didn't expect that. We thought, okay, well, we're going to give them a job, they're going to stay here. It wasn't like that at all.
So when you were in charge of hiring, what were some of the biggest challenges that you faced?
Well, we had these preconceived notions. When we started looking for people, we'd get people coming in with tattoos and and body piercings. And my generation was one where that isn't the kind of thing that was associated with high performers. That's very different now. And getting used to the idea that the image was different and that somebody that had tattoos, down their arm might be one of our best performers was something that took a little getting used to. We also had preconceived notions about the idea that, technology wasn't that important. And we realized that these people are so technology savvy. They're just so sharp that we had to be able to take full advantage of that. So the folks that just came out of college, we had the sense that they weren't going to be really productive in our company till maybe 3, 4, 5 years of experience. The tendency, particularly in small companies, is to go for those that have experience. So you're not worried about training. And part of that ended up being true. They weren't productive right out of college. But at the same time, if they were coached properly, in about 6 months, all of a sudden they became hugely productive. We found that if we were able to invest the time with them for those 6 months to have somebody sit down and really work with them during this period they weren't productive, that all of a sudden we ended up with somebody that was far beyond what we thought they'd be able to take with respect to responsibility. And we were able to push responsibilities really far down into the company with this new generation. And the thing that came from that we didn't expect is that as we started pushing more and more responsibilities down to these folks, they just soaked it up like a sponge. They loved that, and it was the thing that they were looking for. Don't just treat me as somebody that you're going to pay me and I'm going to turn a crank. Give me something important to do. And then the loyalty started building from that. And we realized it wasn't about we need to pay them a lot to have them stay here. We need to have them be able to realize their potential. And then it became this win-win where we found we had these individuals that were 22 years old that we made project managers of small projects and gave them P&L responsibility of small things, but they had P&L responsibility. And then they just started to really resonate. And it wasn't they're saying, hey, I need another $2 or $3 an hour. The pay needed to be commensurate with the industry, but it was the fact that they had these high levels of responsibilities that had them saying, I want to be here. And then they started looking for bringing in people they knew that they wanted to work side by side. So we created these high talent individuals that were really much younger than we expected. And then they started saying, hey, come along. Here's the guy that you want to hire that I know is also this kind of person. So it kind of took off, and we ended up with an exceptionally loyal group of this younger generation, and we kind of fell into it. It isn't something we planned, it just sort of came from this idea of recognizing they could do much more than we thought they could.